For me, there was like a pinnacle in my journey of gambling, sorry. And it got to a point where there was like a dark hole that I was just, falling into. And for me and my family, I knew that something had to give. A specific event happened and my family were like, it's now or never, you've got to get some help. So I just went online and searched for gambling help or advice. And then that's when I come across Gamblers Anonymous. And then I just went one Saturday morning, I just found the rooms and just walked in, and that's when, the real change came in my life. I went in the room and there was like 22 men, and I just, something in me was like, this has got to be something that's going to help. I didn't have a clue, never heard of it, never had any experience of any rooms like that before in my life. So I just kind of embraced it a little bit. I was sat there, don't get me wrong, I was a mess. I was crying, sobbing, and I just remember thinking, like, how is being in this room going to help me? And, sitting here talking, like, and listening to people, like, that's not going to fix this big problem that I had. Luckily for me, it did. And I just started going every week, started reaching out and, making connections within the rooms to other people and their experiences. And it gave me the confidence, I think, to open up, and being surrounded with people that had very similar experiences to me when gambling. In the rooms, there's a lot of variety of things that people had done, but I felt like I had a connection because they'd experienced, the gambling, and just being in there, being in the presence of other people, support, advice, listening to people's journeys and their experiences really helped me to, I think, go forward. It was so scary, I can't lie, and because it was the unknown for me, like I said, I'd never been involved in anything to go in rooms and stuff, but I don't know, I was just so broken, and I knew at home what was going on and what I'd done. I was just willing to like put my all in, whether it was going 10 times a week or 5 times a week. I just knew something had to give, and I didn't know what was coming, didn't know what experience it was going to be, but I just knew this had to be an option of something that I had to pursue. It was scary, it was terrifying. I think I spoke a few words because it was like a few years ago now. But I was just crying uncontrollably and stuff. And I just remember everyone being like so welcoming and calm, and was like, look, this is the best place to be, coming in these rooms is going to change your life. And like I said before, I think being there, you're thinking, how is coming in here going to do that? But I think just having like the willpower to keep coming back really helped me. And obviously my child was a big motivation for me, because I knew I didn't want to carry on being the person that I'd become from gambling. But when I came out of the room, it was emotional, but I felt a big release because I knew that I had people around me that were going to support me from what they were telling me in the rooms. And, just knowing that if I go back next week and I go back the week after that, then surely things will start to improve. And, being there and listening on that day was really gave me lots of hope, because there was people like a few weeks ahead of me, then a few months and many years. And just knowing that they were still coming back, I was like, okay, maybe this is actually the place to be. I think being a mother, I didn't want to carry on being this broken person I was. I didn't have a job. I was depressed, anxious, worried. I had financial problems. It was a whole ball of a mess. And I think over time, by going back every week, I was just releasing certain things and certain issues, problems every week. And I think that's just what kept me going. And I only did 1 meeting a week because of the way that life was at that time. I could only do that. But I think if I didn't, other things probably could have happened. But I think staying focused and knowing, like, after a few months, reaching 90 days, how much life had changed. People started to, warm to me again, and people were forgiving. People were trying to understand what I'd been doing. And that just really helped as well, because everyone around me was so supportive. I think once you get a taste of what the rooms can do for you, you'd be silly not to go back, because you know that there's so much support, advice, everyone's there for each other. And I knew if I didn't go to them rooms, like, maybe I could slip back into the old Hayley and the habits that I had. And it was keeping me accountable, I think, for my family as well. They knew that I was going there. They knew that I was making the effort to improve life and, make a better life for myself. And a few years being into recovery, maybe 3, You know, I got a job. I hadn't had a job because I had no confidence or anything. And, you know, people in the room started to notice the changes. And when you start hearing that feedback as well, I think that really, like, you know, it keeps you going, because, you know, people can see you're trying to be better, you know, and improve. You know, I started my own business and things. Just everything started, like, getting better. The more I went, the more I got from it. The more I spoke, the more I helped others. And I think it's just that rolling situation. You know, the more you put in, the more you're going to get back. For like the first 3 or 4 years, it was literally me. A couple of ladies came, but they didn't stick around. You know, they dipped in and out a couple of meetings. Someone travelled really far to come, and then I think it just was too much. But yeah, the first 3 or 4 years, I was the only woman. So, you know, it was nice in a way, because I was getting to know the men, and, you know, their support and their, you know, ways of dealing with gambling and stuff really helped. But it would have been nice if more women there, so we could support each other, you know, especially some of the women that are here now being mums, you know, coping with that, you know, stopping gambling but still trying to be a mum at the same time was very difficult, even for me at the beginning, because I was present with my child but my mind was like elsewhere. So definitely seeing the women in the rooms and, you know, helping them and giving them hope and support. I think that's why the women that are there now have stuck around for like more than a couple of weeks, because they can see that woman when they come in the room, you know, and know that it's okay. Because like I said, I don't know, something in me just made me stay, but it could have easily not if I'd gone in that room and seen 22 men. But yeah, there's a lot of things that people say in there, you know, about how I have the confidence and the courage just to stay every week. But I just knew that I wanted a better life, and being at GA has most definitely given me that. For me, I tried to do things on my own. I tried blocking myself. I tried, you know, deleting apps and changing my banks and stuff. But for me, I had it in me, and it was like, if I wanted to gamble, I was going to gamble. But I never reached out to anybody. It was very well hidden. And I think for women, maybe that's how they're feeling. Especially me being a mum, I was like, people are going to think I can't be a mum. I'm going to let my child down if I'm gambling, like I'm not paying bills and stuff. So I think maybe that's got a big factor in it. And it's an embarrassing situation to be in. Like, I was a mess. Everything, my financial thing was a mess. My brain was a mess. And I think, like, people, women as well, especially, like, we hide that. We it's like we have a stigma to be these confident, independent women and stuff. And for me, I was so broken. So maybe, like, the women are scared to you know, express it. And I think for me as well, I always thought it was just men that gambled. You know, I always used to go past the bookmakers and see men in there, you know, never women. And it's just having that stigma broken when I went into the rooms, and knowing that if I was in there every week and a woman come in, like, they'd feel safe, I think, to know that, you know, women do gamble. And me, I hid it so well. And yeah, I feel like other women would be doing the same. I'd definitely say, like, there's more to life than gambling, and, you know, you're probably stuck in the midst of it all now and it's terrible, but just coming to the rooms and having that bit of oomph inside you to want to change, like, GA can definitely do that for you. And, you know, I know things are terrible and, you know, not looking good, but there's actually a way out. And that's why I want to do this. I want to share the word and let people know, you know, I have improved my life massively since going to GA. It gave me a lot of tools to, you know, build up confidence, build up relationships again with family and friends that I'd, you know, hurt and stuff. And yeah, it's just definitely the place to be. And, you know, the more that you go, the more you put in, the more you're going to get out. And there's lots of, like, groups, WhatsApp groups and stuff where we can help and support each other throughout the week if you can't make a meeting. It's just a real nice community to be part of. I think I spent many years doing gambling and stuff, and, you know, worrying that it was something that was going to be in my life forever, but it definitely doesn't have to be. And we say it's literally one day at a time. So if you can get through one day at a time, you know, you're beating everything, and, you know, it's going to be a positive life ahead for you.